I want to welcome you to the first PRU University class, and tonight's class is going to be on the secret to real estate investing. How many people think they know the secret to real estate investing? There's one main secret to real estate investing that I believe is going to be the secret to your success if you learn it tonight. How many people know it? Nobody? That's good. When you leave here tonight, everybody is going to understand what the secret to real estate investing is. Hey guys. Okay. We'll give it a second and let them get settled in. We should have waited till about 5 after the start. But anyway, while we're waiting, let me tell you a little bit about the PRU University classes. We have about 8 classes. I probably don't know them all by memory, but I can tell you tonight's class is entitled The Secret to Real Estate Investing. It is a class that's open to everyone. We use the first class also for people that come in and are just kind of wanting to learn a little bit about PRU, who we are, what we do. This is more of an introductory class. The second class is going to be on wholesaling. I'm going to teach that class also because I'm probably the most active wholesaler in PRU. That's going to be a class that you don't want to miss. Many years people have asked me to teach on wholesaling, and I've always declined because I've always been so active in that business. I felt I didn't want to create my own competition. But at this point, we're pretty secure in what we do, so I've decided that I am going to teach wholesaling. And the reason I wouldn't teach it before, I could have taught you a little bit about it, but if I teach something, I want to teach you everything I know about it. And I'm going to do that with wholesaling. When you get through with that, we can't do everything in 2 hours, but we'll probably, if we have enough interest, do a Saturday seminar also on wholesaling. And in that Saturday, I can pretty much teach you everything that I do. And so don't miss the next class, which will be next week here on wholesaling. The next class after that one, I believe, is going to be short sales and REOs with Peter Pestano. That'll be a fabulous class. Peter and I are working on the curricula right now, and it's going to be some stuff. I'm learning a tremendous amount just helping him put his information on a PowerPoint. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. Tonight's course is called The Secret to Real Estate Investing. And I'm Joe Locklear. This is PRU. And I'll come up here and swap this one. Then I need to get my monkey to do that for me afterwards. She can handle that, Adam. He also does fans real well. Hey, okay. What is PRU? Since I see some guests, let me see, how many people are PRU members here tonight? Okay, and how many of you are guests? Okay, that's great. We got several guests. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about who PRU is. Professional Real Estate Investors Association is what PRU stands for. We were recently founded in 2012 by myself and my son Adam, who's right back here. We are a for-profit corporation. A lot of people are proud about being nonprofits, and that's good. We're proud about being for-profit. Not only do we want to make a lot of money, we want you to make a lot of money. So we are definitely a for-profit. Our main purpose is to make money and to secure the future for ourselves and for every one of our members. PRU provides very best education, networking, and hands-on entrepreneurial mentoring in America. We really think we're the best, and I've seen about all of them. And we've taken, I think, the best to give you, and we're going to give you some stuff you're not going to get anywhere else. Some of it you're going to get tonight, some education that I don't think is available anywhere else. So we welcome you to this class, especially if you're a guest, and we encourage you to join our association. Who is Joe Locklear? Most of you know me. I think about 3/4 of you know me. Some of you don't, so I'm going to throw this propaganda up here for just let you look it over. My background, I can tell you, you can get all of this, is my background in construction. Let me get my pointer here. This is my background, mostly in construction. I'm I'm the past vice president of the American Congress on Real Estate. It's back in the 80s. I'm the past president and education director of the Jacksonville Real Estate Investors Association. And I'm the current president and education director for the Professional Real Estate Investors Association. State certified contractor, state certified roofing contractor. I help operate a group of companies where my son and I are partners in most of them. They include Community Building and Restoration, which is a general contractor. Various associated family-owned companies include Locklear Realty Property Management, Jack's Home Rescue, and InnoWeb Marketing, LLC. These are all various small corporations that we've set up to both buy houses and to sell houses and to repair houses and to manage houses. InnoWeb Marketing is our web marketing arm, so everything that we do is centered around real estate. Okay, let's talk about you. Where are you now? We're going to go through a little scenario here. I used to call this finding your path through the real estate maze. We're going to go through it a little quicker because I've added quite a bit of stuff to it. But I want you to look at this as if you're taking a trip. And what we're doing here is some basic business planning, some preliminary business planning. If you're taking a trip, what is the first thing that you've got to understand before you can plan that trip? Okay, the answer is where are you? We don't think about that because we generally take it for granted. But if you take it for granted in this business, you're going to get in big trouble. So before you plan that trip, the first thing you better understand is where are you? Where are you right now? Now, when we're talking about the real estate business, how do we analyze where we are right now? I would say the first thing we want to talk about is our education and our experience. What is your education? For example, you may have a master's degree. You may have a doctorate degree. You can overcome that in this business. Okay. And you may barely have a high school education. You may be a high school dropout. I know some very, very successful people that are high school dropouts. I can tell you they worked about 3 times as hard as the college guys. But your education won't hold you back, but it may guide you as to where you want to begin in the real estate business. So you not only want to think about your education, you want to think about your experience. What is your experience? When you looked at my little background up there, you saw I had many years in the construction and renovation business. Being in that business, I was naturally drawn to buying houses that needed renovation. That was a natural thing for me to want to do. So your background makes a difference. How many people here have a background in finance? You might be suited to get involved in some short sales where you're working with banks. How many people have a background in construction, renovation? Okay, you might be suited to buy some houses and then to renovate them. So think about your background. It's an important part of understanding where you are. What about cash and credit? This is another important aspect of where you're beginning. Where are you right now? Okay, how much cash do you have? If you were to walk into the real estate business, and feel free to make some notes for yourself here. You don't have to share them with anybody, just write them down. If I said to you, you came to me and you said, I want to come in the real estate business. I want to learn how to make money in real estate. And I said, how much cash do you have that you can use just for this? You should write that amount down, know what it is. If it's $10, that's fine. I can show you how to make money. If it's $1 million, that's fine. I can show you how to make money. Guess which way is going to be the easiest? But that doesn't mean you can't make it with $10, because you can. We're going to have an entire class. I believe it's our last PRU University class. It's going to talk about nothing but making money in real estate with no money, no credit, and taking no risk. There's several ways to do that. We're going to have an entire class about it. So, but understanding your cash situation is important in understanding where you are. Next, what about your credit? I had a fellow tell me one time that his credit was so bad they should bury it. And how's your credit? Is it good? average, bad. If it's good, you'll have an easier time of it. If it's bad, you can still make it. You just have to do some things differently. One thing is start working on it until it becomes good. So that's something that you need to understand where you are. We're talking about a trip here, so you got to establish where you are. Where are you with your education and your experience? Where are you with your cash and your credit situation? Now, as soon as we go through this, we're going to look at a menu, and this menu is going to have some items on it, and some of them are going to be good for people with cash, some are going to be good for people without cash. So it's important that you understand where you are first. Okay, third, and this may be the most important, how much time can you invest? Do you have 40 hours a week? Do you have 80 hours a week? I probably spend about 60, but I do that because I want to. I don't have to, but I do because this is in my blood and it's what I want to do. But maybe you've only got an hour a month. How many people think you can make money in real estate with an hour a month? You certainly can, but guess what you better have? Lots of money. Okay, so where are you in there? Where are you with a balance of how much time can you invest? What's your cash and your credit? What's your education and your experience? Because this is what you have to work with. And as we look at these menu items, you need to look knowing where you are right now. Okay, so that is your first step. Okay, what do you want real estate to do for you? What's the next thing that you have to know if you're planning a trip? You know where you are. What's the next thing to determine? What's your destination? Where do you want to go? Okay. These are some things that real estate can provide. Cash income now. What that means is your main goal is to make cash as quickly as you can make it. How many people would say that's your main goal? Okay. Another goal might be retirement income. You might say, well, I'm okay cash-wise. I'm not hurting that much for cash, but I want to retire. And so my main goal is to be able to have more money at retirement. How many people that's your main goal? Okay. This is a good, no, you can't raise your hand for both of them. Main goal. We all want all of this, okay? But you got to focus. And I'm suggesting that you pick one of these and you focus and say, right now, that is my main goal. It may change, but right now, what is it? It's very important to understand, because people come in and they don't understand what their goal is. They don't understand what tools they have to work with, and they get involved in something that they don't have any chance of being successful with. How many people have done that? I'm going to raise both hands. I've done it a bunch of times. It looked good, so I jumped in. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to understand where you are and where you want to go. How about wealth, financial independence? Maybe you have your retirement taken care of, and you're not that concerned about it, but you're concerned that you want to be wealthy. You want to be totally financially independent. How many people you'd say that's your main goal? Okay, that's good. How about freedom? You know, when you boil them all down, can't freedom describe all of them? It really can, because what I want is the freedom to do it, to get up in the morning and do exactly what I want to do. Now that to me is the ultimate goal. Now you got to have money to do that. You're not going to do it if you're broke, unless all you want to do is sleep under a palm tree or something, you know, and drink coconut milk. And even that, I think you probably have to have a little money to do that. You get too old to climb after a while. So you got to have some money. But freedom is a great goal. I have known people that got involved in real estate. They wanted to own rental property, income property. They were missionaries, and they wanted to be able to leave when they wanted to leave and just have a property manager handle their property. It was the ideal thing for them to learn to do and then be able to have that freedom. So freedom was their goal. And I'll tell you, there's always a few people that their main goal is just a hobby. Now, they won't come to this class, and they may not listen to this class. They just want to hang around and basically aren't going to do a whole lot. So maybe their main goal is just to meet people and socialize, to have a hobby. How many people that's your main goal? Well, they don't usually admit it. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, because you're going to meet here in PRU a lot of people that are going to be really nice, successful people. And you could make a whole lot worse friends than that. So even though it may not be your main goal, it's kind of a benefit. But mainly, I want you to look at what do you want out of real estate. Do you want cash now, mainly? Is your main goal retirement income? Or is it wealth, financial independence? Or is it simply freedom to pursue other goals? Very, very important. How many people can pretty much zero in on that and think you got a pretty good handle on what the main thing you're looking for now is? Okay, because we got to get that down before we can move on. Now, taking that trip, what is the third and an equally important factor? What else do you have to know if you're taking a trip? You know where you are, you know where you want to go. What else? How long? If you're in Jacksonville and your goal is to be in San Francisco on this trip, and your time frame is 1 day, what are your options? Fly. And probably not even a prop plane, that's probably a jet. You know, you're not going to take commuter flights and get there overnight. So you have one choice. Unfortunately, a guy like me, I'm 60 years old. If my goal is to retire in 5 years, I don't have a lot of choices. But if you're, you know, a young guy like Joey here, what are you, Joey, 14, 15 now? 13? Okay. No, but if you've got a lot more time, you have a lot more options. So time is a big determining factor in what your plan would be. And when you walked in here, I'm assuming none of you have any idea what you want to do in real estate. Now, I know that's not true because I see a lot of very experienced people in here already in the business. But, you know, I was in the business about 7 or 8 years before I ever sat down and really analyzed what my needs were. And when I did, it changed my whole business plan. And so that's something that you may want to think about right now. It might be time to take another look and see how your business is going. So, you know where you are. Hopefully you know where you want to be. Make sure you understand your time frame. If you say, and I talk to people all the time about their business plan. I have some come in that are unrealistic. I want to retire in 5 years. I don't have any money. And really, my credit's not that good. I'm pretty busy. I could probably put a couple hours a week in. I tell them go play the lottery. Yeah, I mean, because basically they have just as much of a chance of making it in real estate as they do of winning the lottery. Okay, so this is really important. What is your time frame? 3 weeks, 10 years, 20 years? The real estate business must reflect your goals, not what anybody else tells you. Okay, so hopefully we've got a little bit of groundwork in. Let's talk about the menu. Everybody have a pretty good handle on where they are, where they want to go, and how long they have to get there. Okay, let's talk about some methods, and let's see how they fit in to your situation. You can buy and sell as is. Now, this is really my main business that makes cash for me. There's an upside. The upside is it generates quick cash. A lot of times I may find a deal and within 2 or 3 weeks I've cashed out and I'm pretty much got my money. That's pretty quick in the real estate business. That's quick cash. Now, what is the upside about buying and selling as is? And I say buying and selling to make it simplified. I generally don't close on the houses that I wholesale. I put them under contract and I assign that contract. I assign the land trust. We have various methods. I'm just calling it buying and selling. Okay? It generates quick cash. Low capital required. Since I'm not having to actually close on those properties, I don't need a lot of cash to be able to do that. But if I'm going to do it big time, I may need cash to be able to build that business. So there are two sides to that. To do this and make $50,000 a year, you don't need much capital. To do this and make $500,000 a year, you're going to have to invest a little bit. Okay? So the third upside is low personal liability. When you're wholesaling, you're not signing a 30-year mortgage. Okay? You're really never putting that property in your name, so what's your liability limited to? Whatever binder you put out. Generally, I don't put a binder out. If I do, I get it right back. So you don't have a lot of personal liability here. Okay, what is the downside? Now, does everybody understand what buying and selling as is? It's wholesaling. I could have written wholesaling up there. It's becoming a wholesaler or wholesaling a deal. You go out, you locate a good deal, and you sell it to someone else. You let them make most of the money on it, and you make a little bit. Okay, what is the downside? It's time consuming. When you looked at your self-analysis and you said you had a few hours a week, you will not be a wholesaler. It will not happen. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean you can't go out and make a deal here and there. I see someone right here. I'm going to use you for an example, Jason. I bought a house from Jason. And how much did you make on it?
About $6,000.
We made about $6,000. I mean, I'll buy from anybody. I'm a wholesaler. I turned that house around and made $6,000 on it. Okay, so he got a good deal. I mean, he went and found a good one. How many like that have you found since?
No, I get a lot.
Okay.
But I put the time in like I was doing that.
Right. Okay, so what I'm saying is, you can go out and casually buy and sell as is, and you might make $40,000, $50,000 a year. But that's still going to take you some time. Notice he hasn't put the time in. You have a full-time job, right? So it's hard. It's hard to be a part-time wholesaler. So that is one of the downsides. It is time-consuming. You need refined buying skills. Okay, you don't just go out and get lucky and find a house. You have to learn how to buy houses. I have spent a lot of time learning how to buy houses. One of the things that I've had to learn is how to walk in someone's living room and sit down with them and negotiate a deal on their house. Now, I'm kind of old school there. I come from what I call the Jimmy Stewart School of Negotiating. I go in and I'll just be myself. I'm an old country boy out trying to make a little retirement for my family, and I'd like to buy their house, and I'll make friends with them. One thing I learned early on is that you never say a bad thing about their house. If it is the dirtiest, filthiest, rotten, termite-infested mess you've ever seen, you can still compliment it. You know what I say? I say, you know, I'll bet at one time this was a nice house. Is that true? When it was brand new. Okay, and then they'll start telling me that, yeah, my grandmother bought this house and she moved into this house when it was brand new. Pretty soon I know the dog's name, I know where the dog's buried. When I get through, I have made friends. But now all I have to do is ask my friends to help me find a way to buy their house. Okay, by learning to negotiate properly, I've done that. I've had other people come in and down the house and say, I can only pay you this much money because of this and this and this and this. There was a fella who was in another real estate organization on the board with me. I bought a house for $5,000 less than he offered because they liked me and they didn't like him. Now, everybody has to find their own style. Just making a point that to buy and sell as is, you aren't going to make it just on REOs and short sales. You're going to have to buy some owner-occupied properties if you want to have enough properties to sell. And you need refined buying skills. Okay? Where do you think you can learn those refined buying skills? PRU. Okay, we're going to teach them to you. Okay. Another downside is it's unstable income. You might make a lot of money one month and make virtually none the next. I remember 3 or 4 years ago when you could still get banks to lend you money. I walked in to get a loan and didn't have a job. So they said, well, how about your income? And I heard they have what they call a bank loan, a bank income, a bank statement loan, where they looked and they saw how much money had gone through your bank statement. And that was your income. And I thought, wow, because I was closing on a lot of houses then. I probably had, $1 million a year going through my bank account. But no, I didn't get to keep it all. It just flowed through. And so I thought, well, this will be easy. So they turned me down. You know what their excuse was? My income was too unstable. Had $1 million worth of income, but I got some this week. I didn't get any for a couple of months, and I got a big hunk over here. They didn't like it. So I said, well, what am I supposed to do? They said, oh, we'll just do it on stated income. How much do you make? I said, $100,000 a year. They gave me the loan. That's why we're in the mess we're in right now, isn't it? But anyway, your income is unstable. That is one of the downsides. So the good thing about buying and selling as is, you can make quick cash. You don't need a lot of capital. You have low personal liability, but the downside is it's time consuming. You do need to learn refined buying skills, and the income can be unstable. Wholesaling is a full-time business. It really is. But even an old blind hog will pick up an acorn every now and then. So you can come in and you can be that blind hog and you can mess around and make, you know, 20, 30,000 a year. You can be, make 50 maybe. But to break that ceiling, I don't see many people do it that don't become a wholesaling business. I know some people that they're probably 7, 8 really successful wholesalers in Jacksonville. That's not a lot out of 1.3 million people. But the ones that are successful make very, very good money. Okay, let's look at the next thing that you could do. You could buy, rehab, and resell. We tend to call these people rehabbers or retailers. I've done a lot of it. I'm not doing much of it now because I don't think the market is really right for it. But what I would do is buy a house. I would then fix it up and I'd resell it. Generally, I'm going to retail it if I do that. So we were making 20, 22. Generally our profit doesn't vary a lot because we know how to make offers based on our profit and we stay pretty tight. So generally I don't make 30 on one and 10 on the other. If our target's 20, I make 18 to 22 generally on a deal, and that's about what we were making on these retails. But the upside is it's high profit per deal. As a wholesaler, you may only make $5,000 when you flip a house. But as a retailer, you should make about $20,000 when you renovate a house and sell that house. So the upside is you get high profit per deal. You don't need a lot of cash. Now, you may wonder, why don't you need a lot of cash? Why don't you? Because you can borrow the money. If, as a wholesaler, if I wholesale you a house and you're going to retail it, if it's a good deal, I'll get you the money. If I can't lend it, sometimes I have money, sometimes I don't. But I always have private people that do have money, and their business is to lend that money out. And then when I talk about my wholesaling class, we'll talk about that in more detail next week. So you don't need a lot of cash. You can help people in neighborhoods. Now, this may seem silly to some of you, but if you can walk into a neighborhood and you take the ugliest, nastiest house in that neighborhood and you make it the nicest house, you feel pretty good about yourself. The neighbors are patting you on the back and thanking you, and you feel good about that. So you really are a vital part of Jacksonville if you can go out and take these ugly houses and make them pretty houses and help to revitalize some of these neighborhoods. And then you had a house that, you know, just bums were hanging around, and now you have a family living in it. So you can feel good about that, and that does mean something. Now, you could consider rehabbing and selling to landlords for a quicker turn and less qualifying problems. I have done a lot of that. I do a lot of that now. Now, I don't buy it and rehab it. I generally will wholesale it and then take the contract back to rehab it. End result is the same, just the method that I do it is a little bit different. And again, we'll talk more about that next week. So basically, we've looked at two things. One is buying and selling as is to make quick cash. How many people thought that, or raised their hand when they said quick cash was their main thing? Okay, you might want to consider wholesaling. It may take you 3 weeks to make money wholesaling a house, not including the time to find it. I don't know how long it'll take you to find it. You may get lucky and find one your first day. You may not find one your first 6 months, according to how quickly you learn and how hard you work, okay? But when it comes to retailing, it's pretty much going to take you a minimum of 4 months. You're going to have your efforts and your money. If you only do one house at a time, you're only going to turn about 3 houses a year, and you probably are only going to turn 2. In this market, all bets are off. I am not suggesting that you get in this business in this market. Why not? Somebody tell me why not. What type of a market is it? It is a buyer's market. So what should you be doing? Buying. You buy in a buyer's market and you sell in a seller's market. Very simple. But we get hung up on techniques, and that's what we want to do, so we go do it and we lose money. Okay, that's what tonight is about, to be able to show you and help you to figure out what you should be doing. How many people think they should be thinking about being a wholesaler? How many people think that you might want to be doing retail? Maybe not today. How about in the future when the market gets a little better? See, a lot more hands went up. Okay. I'm not saying you can't retail in this market, but you better know what you're doing. You better buy in the right neighborhood. I mean, it's tough. It is not an easy retailing market. Okay. But now, you could consider, if you just have rehabbing in your blood, rehabbing and selling to a landlord. And I do probably, I don't do a lot of them, I do about 2 a month of those that I actually rehab. We turn wholesaling about 50 houses a year total. Trying to get that up to 100 this year. So, you know, it's taken me 10 years to build that business to that point to be able to do that. Okay, everyone understand buying and selling as is or wholesaling? Somebody tell me the disadvantages of wholesaling. What's a disadvantage? Unstable. What else? Takes a lot of time. Okay. What are some of the positives of it? Quick cash. Yeah, quick cash pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? Okay. How about kind of buying and selling on delayed purchase programs? Now, we're going to talk about being a landlord here in a moment, but there's a hybrid which you can sort of retail and sort of be a landlord. And this would take a lot of time to really explain it in detail. We used to call it rent to own. Rent to own has a negative connotation to it because a lot of people have been taken advantage of, and they don't like that term. I tend to call it the delayed purchase program. I've designed a program called Buy and Sell Delayed Purchase, or Delayed Purchase Program. I got all my paperwork together, took it all over to Larry Bernard, probably the best real estate attorney in Jacksonville, had him tweak it a little bit, say grace over it, made sure it was all legal and it would work, and gave it back to me. I have that whole program. One day we're going to do a Saturday seminar on delayed purchase because it is a technique that a lot of people have used to great success. What you would do is you'd purchase a home, renovate it if you need to, and you would sell it for full value to a tenant buyer. You get it occupied quickly. You're going to get maybe $3,000 down. You're not going to make your down payment real high, and that $3,000 down is not going to be a deposit. It's going to be an option purchase. Okay, and then you're going to have them in there. They're going to make monthly payments. If they didn't have all the option money, then they can pay a little bit of it each month. You don't combine it with the house payment, but it's a way they can get in. If they got a few credit problems to clear up, you can give them up to 3 years to clear up those credit problems. At the end of the 3 years, we take them and get FHA financing and sell them the house. But we get full value on that house. They have pride of ownership. In their mind, we don't call them tenants, we call them buyers. In their mind, they're buying, so they're going to take care of that house better. They're going to do all the maintenance. The only thing we do is we'll make sure the AC works and the roof doesn't leak. That's pretty much it. And we do that because we kind of want to protect the house. And so those are the only 2 items. They do all their own maintenance. So the upside is you can sell for full value. You can get it occupied quickly. You can build pride of ownership, which helps them to keep your house up, and you can eliminate most of your maintenance cost. What is the downside? Well, you've got to get it financed or use your cash and tie it up for 36 months. While they live in there, they pay rent, you get a return, but it may take them a little while to qualify. Your profit is delayed up to 3 years. You're not going to make a big bunch of profit in here, so your profit might be delayed if you're really trying to retail that house. You have to help the tenants qualify. What does that mean? If you're going to get into this type program, you usually want to hook up with some sort of a credit monitor. In fact, Joey, where's Joey? Credit Justice, they're the guys that do this. You'd want to hook up with them and get your tenant involved in a credit repair service so that they can get their credit fixed in those 36 months. Okay? And then you would get them to finance. But it requires a lot of expertise. Do not take what I'm telling you about this and go out and think you're going to do it on your own, because you're going to be like the cat in a room full of rockers. Okay, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. Your paperwork must be the right paperwork, or else you could wind up in court losing thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you're going to do this, learn to do it right. So it does require some expertise. Laws have changed. There are a lot of new laws, so you really need to know what you're doing here. But if you work it properly, it can be a great program. Avoid methods and contracts that are not attorney approved. Again, don't do this without some professional help to put it together right. Okay. Build a rental portfolio. Now this is my favorite. I'm basically a wholesaler because I need to earn an income. I don't have another job. My wife doesn't work. I have to, all of my children except one work for me. They work in my companies. So we need to bring in cash, so we're wholesalers. But our future is not wholesaling. Our future is owning property. I'm buying everything I can possibly buy right now. Every penny that I make is being reinvested that I don't have to live on. Support my companies is being reinvested in buying property. Why? What is the upside? You can retire in 5 to 20 years if you get into a good program to own real estate and you learn what you're doing, especially in this market. This is the best market probably in all of our lifetimes. I can't say what the future is, but in the past we've never seen a market like this. You can retire in 5 to 20 years. It is a solid path to wealth. Very solid path to wealth. You put together a pretty good business plan and you decide how you're going to build that portfolio, and you buy the right cash flow properties at the right prices. You get the right management, the right financing if you need it, and you put it together properly, then that is your ticket to wealth. How many people said they wanted to be wealthy? You're not going to do that as a wholesaler or a retailer. How are you going to do it? You're going to own real estate. The wealthy own real estate. Even the ones that go out and make money in other places, where do they generally put it when they make it? They put it in real estate. Okay? So that really is, if your goal was to be wealthy, you need to look at this. If your goal said you need cash income now, this is not for you. But if you're in a position that you're ready to build something for the future, maybe you have some income, you have a pretty good credit, have a little cash in your IRA, this is for you. You can retire in 5 to 20 years. It's a solid path to wealth. What do you get? You get cash flow. Cash flow is what's left in your pocket. I'm buying houses for cash right now, and every penny that I get goes into them. I've emptied my IRA's been empty years ago in real estate, but I'm emptying my wife's IRA, and we're buying properties. I bought one for $6,000. I bought one for $8,500. By the time I repair them, I'm in them around $20,000 cash, and they rent for anywhere from $600. The one that I'm in for 18, I'm in it around $20,000, is renting for $930 a month. How's that for a return? I don't touch them, I don't manage them. I haven't seen that one in 6 months, but I have a manager that takes care of it. They put a check in my banking account. At $930, we net probably $700 a month after maintenance. They do the maintenance, everything. These are investments. Okay? They're not houses. I don't care. I don't want to see the houses. Once I get them done in rehab, most of them I don't even see when they're being rehabbed anymore. But they go on the books, and that's an investment. I get cash flow, equity growth. In other words, where does equity growth come from? No. You're old. You should know that. Principal repayment. What happens is if you get a loan on the house, now if they're free and clear, you don't really get equity growth. But if you finance them, every time a payment is made, then you get a little more equity in that property. You own a little more of that property. Everybody understand that? Who makes those payments? Your tenant makes those payments, but who gets the credit for it? You do. Did you know that everybody that lives in a house buys a house? Really do. It's just not theirs in the end. How silly is that? You know, we're all buying a house. If you rent, your payments, that's going to a payment generally that's buying a house. Okay? So that's equity growth. What about tax breaks? We get tax breaks owning real estate. We get some write-offs, we get some depreciation, so we pay less taxes when we own real estate.